Okay, so I'm with Alec today, and we're going to talk a little bit about card games in general. Specifically, I guess Digimon, but also several others.
That is my specialty.
You've been playing Digimon, I know.
Once or twice.
How's that been, first of all? Just the Digimon TCG?
So, as you guys know, I'm very casual when I play Digimon. I play in a few tournaments, so my kind of tournament perspective is a bit wanting. But
Yeah, you play more just because you like Digimon.
I really like Digimon. I remember the old Digimon card game, and I was really looking forward to this card game, and I have to say I was not disappointed. So the card game was introduced back during the pandemic, and we were all like, "This is really a good time to bring."
Yeah, that was interesting actually. I remember. Digimon came out in what, like late 2020?
Yeah.
Kind of early 2021?
At least that's when I got in 2020 was when I got my first cards as part of that early thing. And then in 2021 is when the game came out.
Yeah, I remember I was having kind of a Pokemon boom, and then there was like shortages. I remember like the products were hard to get.
The very first like 2 sets were a nightmare to get your hands on. That's why a lot of those cards still have prices on them today, because we just didn't get a lot of those sets. And but Bandai has done really well with getting product out since. We don't really have delays anymore. Now there's just an issue with shops getting the allotment that they order. Usually you get less than what you ordered, or you get nothing and it's weird.
Yeah, I guess comparing it to Yu-Gi-Oh!, what's like been the biggest difference you've seen with how like Bandai maybe runs it compared to how Konami runs Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, well, my number one thing is it's a little unfair when you compare the two. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been doing this for a long time, and they've worked out a lot of things that Bandai hasn't even realized is problems yet.
Yeah.
A YCS event is an event. It's open. The player cap is huge. Like for a long time, YCSs didn't even cap out. Some of the more recent ones that we went to, we haven't been to too many in the last few months, but we've seen some capped YCSs, and that was crazy because those were what were those caps like?
Yeah, I mean we did like some 3,000 person ones.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so basically the player base isn't as large.
The player base isn't as large, and
although I feel like Digimon's caught on more than some other card games.
Oh yeah, compared to certain other card games that will go unnamed. Like the Digimon card game is a very popular game. When comparing it to Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, its tournament circuit, it needs work. It needs clarification. We need more events.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that? Like,
Digimon has typical tournaments that you'd expect. We have our local tournaments. We have our store OTS tournaments, but those are just our store championships. Okay. We have regionals. We have YCSs in the form of like the DC1, and we have the Ultimate Cup, which I'm still not.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the
goes.
difference is with like OC1 or like DC1 versus like the Ultimate thing, because those have always been.
Yeah, at first the DC1 and the Ultimate Cup, they had different rule sets, but they weren't that different. They were just seen as like the highest level you could play until we got Digimon Nationals.
Right. Yeah.
But now with the latest Ultimate Cup rules coming out, Ultimate Cup I think will be a more casual like way to compete versus DC1, which should have like the full metagame situation.
So the structure is different, or not as defined.
It's not as defined, and we need more. Digimon has very few regionals compared to something like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Something I've noticed about, sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say real quick, something I've noticed about the Digimon regionals is they tend to be tied to like conventions or like other big events. They don't seem to have really like just standalone regionals like Yu-Gi-Oh! Does.
I don't think Bandai or whoever is in charge of like planning these things has that much faith in the Digimon like player base to come out to regionals.
Do you think they should?
I think they should. Caps tend to be very low, and then when they do, and then they'll just tie them to some other event, just with the hopes of having people there. I think it's fine if you want to have your regional with a con. That's cool, but when the player caps are just so low, like when events go out.
Oh yeah. So what are the player caps usually like?
I mean,
like what, like 128, 256?
Yes, it's only a few hundred. Like I don't know how many. I don't know what the caps are for like the last DC ones. But basically, if you want to go to a Digimon event, you have to sign up within hours of it going live.
That's always an interesting thing. I mean, I guess Yu-Gi-Oh started doing that post-COVID too, where like YCS events you have to pre-register for them. I think that the caps tend to be a little bit higher, but yeah, I guess that's just like a Bandai difference. Maybe they just feel like maybe like they're chasing the exclusivity thing. You figure like where it's like, hurry, like sign up now because if you don't, you won't.
Like I just hate that. I honestly hate it. I can't stand it. When we went to a lot of YCSs, we would just show up and we knew we'd be able to play.
I love that part about YCS. You can like come in the door.
It was highly unlikely that you would end up capped out, and that wasn't because we only let so many people in. It was just that we would have to hit a very high number of players to actually hit the player cap.
I think that maybe speaks to the budgeting too, where it's like Konami. Well, I know like the exact process of YCS is kind of complicated, but like I think that they just rent out larger centers. Because I mean I know like these like convention centers and like ballrooms and stuff tend to have a hefty price associated with them, and so maybe Bandai doesn't like put as much of a large of a budget into its games. I know I went to the One Piece Treasure Cup that was in Fort Worth this past weekend, and like they weren't even allowing spectators in. And then I later found out that they were allowing spectators, but you had to pay $30. Which I thought was a little bit weird, so that was...
See...
Like, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Would never. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or, for all the things Konami doesn't do all that well, that's one thing that, like, it doesn't seem like they would ever really do.
I'm not on board with that sort of thing. I don't like it.
I think it prohibits... So it's like, it just makes it harder for, like, if a friend was coming along, which that was literally what I was doing, because Chris was playing and I was just coming along, and, like, if a friend's like coming along and there's like a chance they might get interested in the game, now that's like barred from them.
Nope,
because it's like, oh, no, like, we're not allowing, and they're like, you know, yeah, or like pay up, which that's, yeah. But other things about Digimon, I guess. Though, let's see, what else is there?
I mean, you know,
how do you feel like the sets? Yeah, like just the sets in general. What's that like?
So Digimon sets are really interesting.
It's still 4 sets a year, right?
I have no idea. I don't pay attention like that.
Like roughly 4 sets a year?
Sounds about right.
Okay.
But we're on BT11 now, and something that's fun about Digimon sets, they each have a theme. And even like the EX sets, those are like our side sets, they have a more defined theme. But BT11, its theme was the Digimon World franchise. And so it had cards and characters from Digimon World 1, 2, 3, Digimon World Redigitize, and it's a good fun time for people who know about those properties. But what they also do with these themes are they try to like aggressively power creep whatever was good before the set comes out.
Yeah, I've actually heard other players kind of express the same concern about it, like where it sort of feels as though each new Digimon set is basically a new metagame. And to be clear, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Does that too. I can only ever compare things to Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm sorry. Like, you know, like last year's had like Power of the Elements, which was like kind of a set that just overhauled the game. But typically I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Only gets 1, maybe 2 of those sorts of products per year where it's like, this product completely redefines the meta and like leaves everything else in the dust. But it feels like in Digimon, just from what I've kind of overheard you talking about, it does feel like it's more, each set kind of tries to introduce a major new thing that you kind of need to be playing.
The emphasis is on try because, like, for context, you know, we're in BT11 now, but Grandis Kawagamon had a good weekend last weekend. It took topping spots and won somebody's Nats. And it's from, like, BT8? Like,
so it doesn't always.
Like, yeah, they try to overhaul the game, but I think player preferences and some other things working against that. Because, I mean, Metal Garurumon X was a deck that was live for a long time, and I hated seeing it. When the EX3 set came out, it was supposed to make a splash in the metagame with the Examon strategy. And Examon has done absolutely nothing. It can't. It just has not. It won't. Right, honestly, BT11's the first time in a long time where we had a set get introduced that actually overhauled our metagame. It gave Black or Greymon all the tools that it needed to just become far and away the strongest deck in the format.
Yeah.
But I remember way back in the earlier days of the Digimon card game, after we got our first 2 sets, every set was very distinctly like a different meta.
Do you like or dislike that?
So
I know it's like a broad.
right. It for a time, like I've always played yellow decks, and when Shine Greymon was a very strong deck, that was like BT4, BT5, something like that. The metagame shifted, and all of a sudden, like one set passed, and now Shine Greymon was considered bad, not good. You could try to carry it forward, but now it wasn't competing nearly as well in the metagame, and only one set had come out. And then another set had come out, and at that point, Shine Greymon was buried. It was done. There was nothing to do with the deck anymore. And you kind of have to keep going through that. If you really like something in the Digimon card game, if you really like a deck, you better get everything you can out of it that first set where it releases.
Because it just might not be relevant.
It'll just get.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know a lot of people accuse, Yu-Gi-Oh! Of that problem, but I've always kind of felt, or recently felt Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a slightly different problem, which is really that most things that come out don't actually get space to breathe to begin with. Like I think of like Amazing Defenders and a lot of the kind of more just budget archetypes, like, I don't know, Magic-y or whatever. They just sort of come out and they feel like there's not like really a place for them to be played at all.
I mean, that
at least like in Digimon, it seems like maybe the deck will get erased in 3 months, but at least it'll get 3 months.
I mean, but I'm only talking about good decks. I mean, they have so bad strategies in these. I mean, like in BT10, we had they introduced like Bagra Army, which is a purple deck, and it was pretty horrible. It was a strategy that did not lead to like a game win. It just did not know how to win, and it got new support in BT11 where it's a little bit better. But when you take a deck that was at a 1 and you give it a +2, it's now just a 3.
Yeah, I mean,
it needed to multiply that number. It didn't need to.
So in that way, it's kind of the same as there are decks that people wish could be.
Yeah, we have our decks that just don't do anything, never will do anything, and that's just.
How do you feel like it compares to the other Bandai games? Because I feel like they've been releasing a lot lately.
I mean, Bandai is.
At least the 4 that I know of is like there's Dragon Ball Super, which has been around for a pretty long time now. Then Digimon came out. Then One Piece has kind of dropped out like 5-6 months ago.
Yep.
Maybe not even that. Maybe like 3-4 months ago.
Only the second set of One Piece is about to come out.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, and then there's like Battle Spirit Saga.
Which it will come out soon this year, I believe.
So yeah, that's like April, I think. So how do you feel Digimon stacks up to each of those?
So.
I know you've at least dabbled.
The games that are the most similar are Digimon and One Piece. I played them both fairly recently, and I think they are pretty distinct from one another. They have the telltale markings of a Bandai game. Some of the font and the wording and the card design, like how they look, are similar. But I find them to be pretty distinct. Digimon plays in a more card fight Vanguard-y way of attacking with Digimon and you're killing shields or whatever you want to call them, security. But then you look at One Piece and it's more like a deck master kind of game.
Yeah, they have the deck leader.
It's like a deck master in like Yu-Gi-Oh! That we never had that Konami should have made, and it's a different game. I think Digimon and One Piece can exist. I think they can exist in the same space, but I think there can be nothing else with them.
Would you say they maybe do too many card games?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I remember that with Dragon Ball Super, it and Digimon would share the same regionals. And I was always like, that's interesting. Kind of sucks if you play both games and want regionals for both, well, I guess you gotta pick. But now it's One Piece gets added to the mix, and then Battle Spirits is coming out soon. And so it's I don't know if you're, maybe, I guess I find myself thinking either you're supposed to be a Bandai card game player where you just play them all and Bandai's kind of your company of choice, or is it just that you gotta pick one and that's what you get?
The Bandai TCG Plus app has the functionality to switch games that you're using it for, just kind of by pressing one button, as if you would be playing all 4 of their games. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, at least in the West, at least from what I've seen, Dragon Ball Super was already dying when Digimon came out, and Digimon kind of accelerated the process of the death of that game. But I really don't think Dragon Ball Super and One Piece can exist at the same time in the same market. I just don't think.
Yeah.
There's too many things that are too similar.
And my last little quick thought on that too is just that I feel like with Dragon Ball Super and One Piece, and I guess to a lesser degree Digimon, I don't think it lends itself better in this regard, is like these are kind of like major anime properties that get like translated into a card game, whereas like at least with Battle Spirit Saga, it's kind of just made from the ground up as a card game. So I think like you get more immediate attention on something like One Piece because like it's a popular anime, but I think I lost my train of thought. But yeah, there's. I guess I'm always just interested in how like one company feels like it can, I guess, juggle all these games and not have them just cannibalize each other.
I mean, I think that is where we're headed at. I mean, with One Piece out, I just don't see.
You think Dragon Ball might be
Dragon Ball anymore?
Out the door.
And when Battle Spirits releases, I genuinely do worry for the Digimon card game at that point.
I worry actually more for the One Piece one, if you can believe it.
The reason why I'm more worried about Digimon and One Piece is One Piece still has that new coat of paint on it.
Oh yeah, and Digimon feels older, so maybe it's just like, oh, it's old, boring.
Digimon has hitting its stride now, and we're starting to see some of the signs of it being a traditional card game. There's power creep, there's ban list, there's ruling fiascos, there's a more established meta game now. But One Piece doesn't have those things yet, so the people can delude themselves into thinking like this is the best card game ever, and so that naivety, it'll let them suffer the pounding and Battle Spirits will be a very difficult game to compete against. It's an established card game in Japan. This game is proven to already work, and Bandai is putting money behind it. This game won't go quietly into the night, not like some card games.
Yeah, there's always a few. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, as somebody who I don't really play like any of the Bandai card games, I've dabbled in a few of them. I'm always fascinated to hear about it from you and from Chris, who I will eventually get on one of these episodes. Maybe sooner rather than later. Yeah. Any other closing thoughts? I mean, you say you're still like currently enjoying Digimon, maybe despite these.
Yeah. I just love Digimon too much for any of this to stop me or even slow me down from playing the game. There was even a point where I was playing more Digimon than Yu-Gi-Oh! Now I'm closer to like 45,
Yeah, about even.
Somewhere around there. But I don't know. I just love the Digimon property too much to stop playing, and I think the game is still a lot of fun. And I guess the only person that can ruin that for me is Bandai. So don't.
Yeah, don't do that, Bandai. All right, well that's it. Cool. If you guys want us to talk about more stuff like this, or you have any opinions, I'm sure plenty of you guys watching out there play at least one of these mini games. So
I mean, they're casting a wide net. So
yeah, they're casting a wide net. I feel like they're just like hoping something sticks with someone. So
yeah, stay tuned for more content, guys, for us and other card games. We might even try a few on the channel here.
Yeah, we got some we have to try, some kits. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.